What is the Ocean Providence? We've seen Father with a fishing rod and riding on a boat more than a couple times when it comes to photos, videos, and stories. And when we dig a bit deeper, we end up seeing that it was more than just a couple of times that he was out fishing. No, he was out there almost every day. The history of our Father and the ocean is deep and vast, just like the ocean itself. And since 1963, Father had officially began the Ocean Providence, and in America since 1974 to 1994, he spent countless sleepless hours of sore muscles and a sacrificial heart out on the ocean. And for what, we might ask? Why did he dedicate 2/3 of his life work to the Ocean Providence? And why did he train members on the ocean non-stop even up to the time of his ascension? Well, he's the Messiah, and he came here to save the world substantially, and he had a plan for that. That plan was and still is the Ocean Providence. This plan was to bring world peace and world unification. How? By solving world hunger, by saving the ever-increasing group of God's children who can't be sure that they'll get to have a meal today, who can't be sure that they won't die from starvation tomorrow. The Ocean Providence is the key to solving world hunger and inequality. It's the key to bringing a substantial and real kingdom of heaven on earth. It's the key to solving world hunger, one of, if not the most pressing issues of this world today. Without resolving this issue, we can't even begin to think of a true world of peace. But why is that? Why is it that the hunger issue is such a big problem? Well, let's take a look at what True Father says about the hunger issue. He says, "True peace will not come as long as humanity does not solve the problem of hunger. If the person next to me is about to die of hunger, peace is a mere luxury." When I look at the world situation, I feel that securing sufficient food supplies is the most pressing problem. Solving the food crisis cannot be put off for even a moment. To us who live with basic comforts and maybe some luxuries, the world of the hungry is a far-off one that doesn't seem urgent. But if we take a look at the world situation right now, we come to realize that the issue of world hunger is a lot worse than we thought. Our world's population is constantly on the rise at an extremely fast rate, but most of that population increase tends to be from poorer countries and undeveloped countries. The issue with this is that in those countries is also where hunger and food issues are the most prevalent. And because of the constant population increase in those areas, this food issue would naturally only get worse. The world hunger problem at some point did seem like it was decreasing, but as of recent, it started picking up again. However, ever since the pandemic COVID-19 hit, future prospects of hunger have become worse, even the best case scenario not exactly being the best, and the worst case scenario showing a huge jump in the hungry population. That's not the only thing that we see today either. Climate change has always been an issue, but even more so in today's age. Climate change is shown to benefit agriculture and crop yields in the north, but in the south and in poorer countries, the opposite happens. Overall, the crop yields of the world end up dropping because of climate change. There are also many predictions that climate change will cause hundreds of millions of people to migrate and become refugees due to the lack of food and sea level rising. Although predictions vary and may not be accurate, the risk of future global food crisis is very high. If we take a look at our possible future with regards to the food issue, this is what we might see. The human population will continue to increase, especially in developing countries. It's predicted that climate change will cause millions of people to abandon their homes, and it's likely going to reduce the agricultural and fishery yields. The pandemic like COVID-19 may also continue to worsen food shortages worldwide, and overall the food crisis will most likely become worse. There could be over 1 billion people starving and becoming refugees in the near future. Due to refugee migration into developed nations, the interracial tensions will rise, and inequality and interracial tensions will cause political and economic instability. This instability may develop into regional conflicts, and political and regional conflicts usually result in governments ignoring infrastructure, and the poverty ends up rising, causing even more food shortages, only feeding into this vicious cycle. Eventually, the people will cry out, the starving masses will cry out, "Where is God in this misery?" If we continue to wait and don't prioritize this issue, it will only continue to escalate and get worse. Even now, as we speak, people are suffering from hunger, children, families, and villages. In March of this year, ABC News says, last week, UN World Food Program Chief David Beasley, who had just returned from Yemen, told the council that it was hell on earth in many places, and warned that we are heading straight toward the biggest famine in modern history. Over 16 million people now face crisis levels of hunger or worse, Beasley said. In places like Afghanistan, Yemen, and many other places where there's also conflict and war, The hunger problem is only continuing to get worse. And true Father saw this. He foresaw this and he understood that something had to be done before it became too late. Even now that question hangs above our heads. Is it too late or not to fix this problem? Well, Father, as the Messiah, had a clear and substantial plan to solving world hunger, the most acute form of inequality. He talks about this plan in multiple speeches, and in his autobiography, he outlines the two parts of the plan to solve world hunger. He explains, "I am considering two fundamental and concrete methods. The first is to provide ample supplies of food at low cost, and the second is to share technology that people can use to overcome hunger on their own." And the key to fulfilling this plan is the ocean. Father identified the ocean to be the fastest way, the central point, and the shortcut to saving and solving world hunger. He planned to solve the issue of world hunger through the ocean and through the things related to it, and he saw the importance of getting involved in the marine industry and the ocean. He explains, "I saw that the key to future food problems lies in the ocean and have endeavored to develop a wide range of oceanic businesses from nothing." He also says, "In the future, we will have to prepare a worldwide foundation. This is what I am thinking about. More than 2/3 of the Earth's surface, more than 70% is ocean. What would we do if our land-based food resources diminish? We will have to turn to the oceans and catch our food there. We really will have no choice but to come up with a solution for human survival depending on the sea." The way I see it, this is the only viable way that humankind will be able to solve the food supply problem. That is why I've invested $2 billion over the last 20 years to develop this area. That is also the reason why I've been working in the field of ocean industries. The sea has unlimited resources. The future economy of the world, the food problem of the world, the survival of mankind will be solved by the ocean. This time of study can determine the future life or death of mankind. As it can be seen from Father's words, the ocean really is the key to solving world hunger. It's the key to this plan that the Ocean Providence is. But along with the plan, the key that is the ocean, there is also one more thing that is utterly necessary for carrying this plan out. And that's the people who will actually be carrying the plan out. Those people are us, the members. It's why Father trained us, and it's why he trained us all the way up to his ascension. He wanted to raise us up as a family federation of global leaders in charge of the oceanic world, inheriting the heart of our Father and saving the poor and hungry. We'd be youth, passionate about our God-given mission, passionate about the ocean, and passionate about solving the issues of the world, taking the lead in the oceanic era and loving the world as our own global family. Father also looked to raise us up as people who could solve world hunger and witness through our actions. By becoming Ocean Providence missionaries, we would become oceanic leaders who have the necessary skills and knowledge to fix the hunger issue. And by becoming people who solve world hunger, we can substantially testify to God and true parents through our actions. And love is action, and nothing speaks louder than global level action. True Father asks the members, "Do you want to shorten or extend the providence of restoration?" He explains, "Only 15% of the world's 5 billion people live comfortably, while the rest are putting all their energy into just getting by. Even if 1 billion are Christians, the remaining 4 billion are not interested in Christianity. If it takes 2,000 years to evangelize 1 billion people, how many years will it take to evangelize 5 billion people? What do they feel when 4 billion people who are just trying to survive hear that Reverend Moon has been struggling to prepare for them for 20 years and brought food to them? It's clear, right? They will want to stay in the Unification Church all the time." In a short period of time, while the world looks on in blank amazement, billions of people will enroll in the Unification Church. We must fulfill God's will in our time. The world will be saved if you are determined and serve with devotion. Father explains, "We have to make this foundation for the entire world. This is the fastest way to bringing people and nations together. I am always thinking how this can be done, and that is why I am making a foundation on the ocean. And when we make this foundation, our direction toward the future will be straight. The Ocean Providence, this plan to solving world hunger, is the fastest way to bringing world peace and unification. We cannot prolong the Providence any longer. So we have to follow this shortcut. We have to follow this fastest way. And all of this, all of the Ocean Providence and its future, lies in the youth of today. Let's inherit this Ocean Providence. Let's be the young people that Father was looking for, that Mother is looking for, and that the world is looking for. Starting by learning all about it. The Ocean Providence.
I woke up this morning, saw a world full of trouble now. I thought, how do we ever get so far down? And how's it ever gonna turn around? So I turned my eyes to heaven. I thought, God, why don't you do something? Well, I just couldn't bear the thought of people living in poverty, children sold into slavery. The thought disgusted me, so I shook my fist at heaven. I said, God, why don't you do something? He said, I did. Yeah. I created you. If not us, then who? If not me and you, right now. Well, it's time for us to do something. Us to do something. So tired of talking about how we are God's hands and feet, but it's easier to say than to be. Live like angels of apathy. We'll tell ourselves it's alright, somebody else will do something. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of life with no desire. Says, I'm gonna do something. If not